Dear friends, today's story is very strange. A young girl used to do something with a dog that you will not believe after hearing it. So let's listen to the whole story. It was nighttime and silence had spread across the city streets. Light emanating from small houses was reflecting on the roads. A girl named Mahira was sitting outside her house as usual. There was something special in her eyes, a strange sadness that she couldn't share with anyone. Mahira had always loved animals and had a lovely dog named Badi, who always stayed by her side. Sometimes she felt as if Badi was her best friend. Only he understood her emotions. Badi always supported her, no matter how many difficulties came their way. One day, Mahira felt something strange in that narrow street, as if something was about to change. Something that had never happened before. She slowly started walking down the street and suddenly Badi changed his direction. His face became serious, as if he was sensing something. Badi turned toward her and barked in a special way. Mahira couldn't understand what was happening, but she could feel something. Perhaps Badi wanted to say something. Mahira composed herself and said, "What happened, Badi?" and went to him and patted him. But there was something else in Badi's eyes, a mystery within him that was now emerging. Then Mahira's gaze fell on the other end of the street. She saw a man approaching from a distance, with a strange gleam in his eyes. Mahira ignored him, but Badi's behavior was becoming increasingly unusual. Did that man know something? Had Badi sensed something that Mahira couldn't understand? Mahira looked at Badi, and this time she was convinced that something big was about to happen. But before moving forward in the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Friends, it takes a lot of effort to make such videos, so please subscribe to the channel before proceeding. Let's watch this video. Mahira's heartbeat quickened. There was something in that man's eyes, something that was taking her time to understand. She called out to Badi, but Badi still turned toward that man as if he had an intense desire to know something. Mahira looked at him seriously for a moment and then slowly approached Badi. "Do you know this man?" Mahira asked herself. But there was no answer in Badi's eyes, only a silence that was casting doubt in Mahira's heart. The man was now approaching closer. Mahira felt a strange warmth in her body. She wanted to immediately question that man, but something was forcing her to stop. Badi's condition was also becoming more worrying. He stood up eagerly on his paws, as if sensing some deep danger. The man was now just a few steps away. He slowly looked at Mahira, and a slight smile appeared on his face. "It was nice meeting you," he said. There was something in his voice that was enough to frighten Mahira. "Who are you?" Mahira asked, gathering courage, but there was confusion within her. She felt that this man was hiding something. The man replied, "I'm just a traveler, and I have something important to discuss with you." Mahira's heart began beating rapidly. She wanted to know what that man wanted, but there was a dangerous mystery in his innocence. She was about to say something when suddenly Badi stood in front of that man, barking loudly. Mahira looked at Badi and understood that Badi didn't trust this man. "Badi!" Mahira called out nervously, but Badi didn't listen to her. He was now close to the man, and Mahira felt as if Badi was more afraid of that man than usual. "You don't understand," the man said again. "This dog knows what I want. You're going to know too, Mahira." A cold shiver ran through Mahira's heart. Was that man telling the truth? Had Badi really sensed something that Mahira hadn't been able to know yet? The man took another step forward, and Mahira's breath almost stopped. The man slowly took another step forward. There was a strange gleam in his eyes, as if he wanted to enlighten Mahira about some deep secret. Mahira's heart was beating rapidly, and she couldn't understand what to do. Body's aggression and the man's smiling face were both planting seeds of fear in Mahira's mind. "What do you want?" Mahira asked hesitantly, but fear was clearly audible in her voice. Body was still standing at a distance from that man. His neck was tense, and there was deep hatred in his eyes. This had never been Body's attitude. He was always innocent and loyal. But today his behavior was completely different. The man laughed softly and said, "You haven't recognized him, Mahira? This dog is not just a dog. He is your protector, your companion, and is connected to your destiny." Mahira looked at him in shock. "What are you saying?" she said in a stern voice. There was a wave of questions in her eyes. She looked at Body for a moment, but his face wasn't revealing anything. The man then slowly lowered his voice. "You and Body are both connected to the same chain, an old secret, and now your journey is about to begin, which you never even imagined." Mahira's bewildered and frightened eyes were hiding, and she placed a gentle hand on Body's shoulder. "Will you really be able to understand why all this is happening?" the man asked softly. "Will you be able to understand what your connection is?" Body suddenly scratched the ground with his paws. Mahira couldn't understand what to do, but Body's reactions made it clear that something very big was about to happen. "I can't tell you everything, but you need to know that whatever is happening is for your own good. Body knows, and he will always stay with you to protect you," the man said, and a mysterious smile spread across his face. Mahira's mind was restless. She wanted to know who that man was and what he wanted, but there was something that was forcing her to stop and listen. Was all this true? Were Body and that man really connected to some deep mystery? The man took one last look at Mahira and said, "Your journey begins now, Mahira, and with Body, you will have to face this mystery." The man slowly retreated and disappeared into the darkness, leaving a seed of new apprehension in Mahira's eyes. The words of that stranger were spinning in Mahira's eyes. His face, his smile, and most importantly, his warning about Body. Everything was bound in a strange web. What did he want to say? That Body and he were connected to an old secret. Thinking this made Mahira's heart sink. She couldn't understand whether all this was true or just a terrible dream. Body had now calmed down. The same restlessness and deep anxiety were in his eyes, but he was sitting near Mahira, as if he was her protector. Mahira gently caressed Body and softly said, "Will you tell me everything, Body?" There was both hope and questions in her voice. Body nodded, and then bowed his head, as if he was trying to explain something. Mahira was sure that Body knew, but she also understood that no matter how much she tried to understand, this mystery couldn't be fully revealed until she herself came to know. They both sat there for a while. Mahira was suppressing her worries in her mind. Then, once again, Body pricked up his ears, and there was something strange in his eyes. Mahira followed his gaze and saw another person standing at the end of the street. This wasn't the same man, but his build and face seemed somewhat familiar. That person was slowly approaching them, and a wave of fear ran through Mahira's mind. "Have you come to trouble us again?" Mahira asked fearfully, and Body kept his neck tense, as if he was sensing some danger. But the man just smiled. "No," he said. "I've come here to talk to you about something else important." Mahira looked at that man carefully. His eyes had the same mystery that was in the previous man. Were these two people part of some deep conspiracy? Did Body have some connection that she hadn't understood yet? "There's a reason to meet you," the man said. "What you're searching for is already with you. Body is not just your companion, he's also your guide." "Guide?" Mahira asked in surprise. "What do you mean? What do you want?" The man's smile faded, and he slowly said, "A part of your journey will be completed only through body. But you need to understand that journey. You need to know that path. And that path is still not with you." "What path?" Mahira's mind was storming with questions, but the man didn't say anything more. He just took one last look at Mahira and Badi, and then turned and walked away. Mahira felt as if that man was still standing somewhere nearby. The shadow of his mystery was still hovering over her. She took a few steps forward, and Badi showed deep concern in his eyes. Was Badi really going to show her the way? And was she herself ready to undertake this strange journey? There was no end to the questions in Mahira's mind. She knew she needed to understand some deep things, but everything that had happened so far had just become a puzzle. She was alone with Badi, but she felt that something very big was happening somewhere, and she was just standing on its edge. Was this just a coincidence, or was there something else that she needed to know? She was thinking of leaving the street when suddenly another voice startled her. The voice was soft but dense, as if hiding some deep conspiracy. Mahira looked at Badi, and there was deep concern on his face too. Badi's eyes were trying to examine something, and he scratched the ground with his paws again. "Are you okay, Badi?" Mahira asked softly, but Badi's eyes were now directed in another direction. Then, the shadow of a stranger's hand appeared before Mahira's eyes, and she turned back nervously. The man standing in front appeared again. "You came back?" Mahira said in surprise. There was no argument in her voice, but apprehension and fear. The man looked into her eyes for a moment, and then said, "You shouldn't have walked this path alone, Mahira. Badi is your protector, but he fears losing something on his journey with you. He knows something that you haven't understood yet." Mahira's eyes widened in amazement. "Fear of losing whom?" she asked tremblingly. The man slowly shook his head. "This is a curse, Mahira. You and Badi are of the same kind, from two different worlds, but your destinies are connected to each other. And a part of that destiny is with Badi." Mahira was having trouble believing all this, but Badi's growing concern and that man's words had made her even more troubled. "So you're saying that Badi and I are something special?" she asked nervously. "Yes," the man said. "There's a deep relationship between you two, and that relationship is not limited to just love or friendship. This is a curse, and together you have to break this curse." Mahira's heart was now filled with fear and amazement. Was she really part of this curse? And had Badi really paid some price to change her destiny? The man said with a slight smile, "You have to decide your own path, Mahira. But remember, Badi is connected to you, and he is your protector. If you want your path to be clear, then you have to find out that mystery which is connected with Badi." This time the man turned at the corner of the street without saying another word and disappeared. Mahira and Badi both stood there, as if a terrifying journey had begun. There was a new determination in Mahira's eyes. She looked at Badi, and Badi also looked at her, as if he was realizing that now no moment could be safely wasted. "We both have to travel this path, Badi," Mahira said to Badi. There was a strange strength in her voice. "We'll have to do whatever it takes to break that curse." There was now a strange silence between Mahira and Badi. Mahira had many questions in her mind, but she knew that now was not the time. She kept thinking about the words of that stranger who was saying that Badi and she were both connected to some curse. Was all this true? If yes, then what was that curse? And most importantly, was Body really ready to change her destiny? Body turned his head to one side, and the same concern was in his eyes that was there some time ago. He too was perhaps trying to understand that man's words. Mahira looked at Body and placed her hand gently on his head, as if she was trying to make him understand that he was not alone now, and in every difficulty she would support him. "What will we do, Body?" Mahira asked in a whisper, but in response, Body just bowed his head. Then suddenly a gentle gust of wind came on Mahira's face. A coolness spread over her face, as if the wind was saying something. Mahira took a deep breath and turning toward Body said, "There's something we need to understand, Body. We both have to solve this mystery." Body now slowly came to her, and the same loyalty and faithfulness was in his eyes that had always been there. Body wagged his tail slowly, as if he too was with Mahira, and was preparing to do something special. Then, as soon as Mahira stepped forward, another person came and stood in front of them. This was the same man, but he looked very different. There was deep urgency in his eyes, and there was no smile on his face. "What are you doing here?" Mahira asked in a standing voice. The man calmly replied, "A new path has opened for you both. You have to be shown that place where that secret is hidden, the secret that you both need to understand." "What secret?" Mahira asked angrily, but the man didn't answer her question. He just pointed toward Body and said, "That secret is inside this dog. Mahira, you and Body both have to reach that deep mystery. You have to go to that place, which is in front of you." Mahira's eyes widened. "Are you saying that Body knows something?" she asked nervously. "Yes," the man said. "He's not a dog. He's your companion, part of your destiny. He's with you, but you have to understand him. You have to go on that journey where that secret will tell you." The man completed his words, and then, taking a step back, said, "You have to walk on that path now. Don't waste any time because time can be against you." The man disappeared into the darkness again, and Mahira and Body both stood there as if some heavy responsibility had fallen on their shoulders. "Is this true, Body?" Mahira asked softly. There was no fear in her voice now, but a kind of resolve. "Do you really know that secret?" Body wagged his tail, and there was such seriousness in his eyes, as if he was ready to go on some very big journey. He was now looking at Mahira as if telling her that he was ready, and now he wouldn't be alone. "We'll both understand this, Body," Mahira said, and taking a deep breath, moved forward. "We'll both reach that secret, and no one will be able to stop us." Mahira and Body were heading toward the place told by that stranger. This place was near an old mansion, which looked even more frightening in the darkness. Every corner of the mansion was testifying to old times, and the silent atmosphere there was making Mahira restless. "Have we really come here?" Mahira asked Body in a low voice. Fear and curiosity were both in her eyes. The area near the mansion was deserted and strange, and Mahira had a strange anxiety in her heart. Body looked at her, and then pointed toward the mansion, as if he was saying that this was the place where everything would change. Mahira took a deep breath and moved her steps forward. They both reached inside the mansion. The atmosphere inside the mansion was even more mysterious. There were old marks on the walls, and a cold shiver could be felt in the air. Mahira felt as if every room had an untold secret hidden in it. Moving forward, they reached a room where a magical book was placed on an old wooden table. Above the book was a black stone's living picture, as if sometimes black secret was trying to cover it. "This is the same book, Body," Mahira said softly, "that we had to understand." Body wagged his tail and walked around the room as if he was sensing some danger. Mahira picked up the book and started turning its pages. As soon as she turned the first page, a strange light began to spread in the room and a deep echo arose from the book. Mahira's eyes widened. Some old things were written on the pages of the book, which were confusing her even more. "What is this?" Mahira asked Body. But Body didn't say anything. His eyes were deeply absorbed in the book, as if he too was trying to understand something. Then suddenly, a piece of paper fell from inside the book. Mahira picked it up and saw that some words were written on it. "Your path is the same for both of you, but that path goes through your fear. What is Body's true form that will unlock the secret of your fate?" "Body's true form," Mahira said in shock. What did this mean? Was Body hiding something? There was another message on that paper. "The one you have seen in the form of a dog is an important key. That key will unlock your next step. But for that, you will have to face your fear." "Are you hiding something from me, Body?" Mahira looked at Body, and there was a question in her eyes. Body didn't say anything, but his eyes were telling a lot. "Our journey is not over, Body," Mahira said, and closing the book again, kept the paper with her. "You have to show your true form. Only then can we solve that secret." There was deep understanding in Body's eyes, as if he was now ready. Mahira looked at him, and both decided to leave that room. Now they had to move toward a new direction to know that secret. Mahira and Body turned from inside the mansion toward the outside. The atmosphere outside the mansion seemed even more extraordinary than before. The darkness of the night had now become deeper, as if the sky had hidden something more in its silence. Waves of confusion and fear were being felt in Mahira's heart, but now she was feeling that she was on a journey that was very important for her and Body. "Where are we going, Body?" Mahira said softly. Her mind was now in even more confusion, because she couldn't understand what all this meant after all. Body wagged his tail and gestured to her that she needed to move forward. Mahira looked into his eyes and felt as if he was ready to do something big. She understood that Body was not just a dog. He was a companion who would help her reach that secret. They both had now come out of the mansion and were standing on an open ground. Then Body made another gesture, and Mahira's eyes went in that direction. Some distance away stood an old banyan tree whose roots had a special kind of glow. This was the place that was mentioned in the book where the secret was hidden. "Is this the place?" Mahira asked quietly, but Body nodded. There was deep seriousness in his eyes, as if he was preparing himself and Mahira for that fatal secret, which now needed to be opened. They both reached near that tree. The roots of the tree were as if ready to embrace them both. Mahira saw that something was shining between the roots, a stone that was completely black with some strange mark made on it. That mark was just like the mark on Body's body. "Is this it?" Mahira said, taking a deep breath, and slowly touched the stone. As soon as she touched the stone, a strange warmth was felt, and suddenly a voice came from the whole tree, as if it was some deep echo. "Now you both are ready," the voice said. Mahira didn't panic, but bowed her head and moved her steps forward. With Body, she again held that black stone and slowly lifted it. Then that black stone began to open, and from inside it, a faint light began to come out. Mahira lifted it completely and saw that inside was a small magical amulet. This amulet was very special because it had a symbol in the shape of Body, the dog that was with her. "What is this?" Mahira said softly. Inside the amulet was a shining thread, which, as soon as Mahira touched it, a mysterious energy took her in its grip. Mahira felt as if the amulet had reminded her of something very old, something very distant. Those memories slowly began to emerge. She immediately understood that this amulet was connected to Bodhi's and her soul. This was going to tell her what Bodhi's real form was and what curse he was bound by. "Did you ever think, Bodhi, that you're not just a dog?" Mahira said softly. There was a silence in her voice that was feeling that invisible secret. Bodhi bowed his head as if he too understood that this was the turn from where their journey was going to change completely. Now they had to reach that deep secret, which had been hidden for years. Then suddenly, a faint light came out from the amulet, and Bodhi looked toward that light. Mahira looked in the same direction, and this question became even deeper in her mind. Were they now on the right path? Was Bodhi really going to show his real form now? The light of the amulet slowly began to spread, as if it too was giving some special signal. Mahira and Bodhi both quietly started moving toward that light. There was deep understanding in Bodhi's eyes, and Mahira was feeling that she was close to solving some deep mystery. As soon as they approached that light, an old blurred scene appeared before them. It was like a dream, in which Bodhi appeared in the form of a human, a young and strong boy who looked like a warrior of some ancient times. He had an intense and mysterious gleam in his eyes, and Mahira could see a very deep and strange secret in his eyes. "What is this?" Mahira asked softly. There was both curiosity and fear in her voice. She couldn't understand whether this was a dream or reality, but she definitely felt that Bodhi's real form was something else. Then a voice came. "This is the form you have always seen. You couldn't recognize Bodhi's real form until you reached his real identity." Mahira asked in shock, "What does this mean?" "Bodhi, you were human?" Bodhi bowed his head as if he understood everything. There was deep restlessness in his eyes, and he slowly said, "Yes, Mahira, I am who you think I am. But when I was given this curse, I was molded into the form of a dog. I have had to bear this curse since I touched that sacred amulet." Mahira's heart began to beat. She hadn't thought that in the form of a dog, she was bearing the curse of a human. But all this was now becoming clear. "So this amulet, what is your real form?" Mahira asked. "Yes," Bodhi said. "You had to take the help of this amulet to know my real form. But now we have to understand why this curse was given. This is not just between you and me. This is related to a very old secret, which is one of the biggest mysteries of our world." Mahira's eyes widened. "Are you saying that this curse is something bigger?" "Absolutely," Bodhi said seriously. "This curse is from very ancient times, when our ancestors made a big mistake. And because of this mistake, we have had to bear this curse till now. But now, the time has come when we have to correct that mistake so that we can be free from this curse." Mahira now realized that their journey was not just about knowing Bodhi's real form as a mysterious dog. This journey was about uncovering that deep secret which could change the history of the entire world. "So, what do we have to do?" Mahira asked. "We have to go to that old temple," Bodhi said. "There is something there that can end this curse. But we can't go alone. We'll need help from other people who can understand this secret." Mahira nodded, and now her mind had completely changed. This was no longer just a story of an ordinary dog and girl. This was the beginning of a very big mission. They both now started moving toward that temple, which was going to open a new path before them. Mahira and Bodhi had reached an old deserted area. All around was dry land, bushes, and a strange silence. In the distance, a broken but extremely mysterious temple was visible. This was the place where Badi had said the curse could end. "Are you ready?" Mahira asked softly. There was depth in Badi's eyes. Now he didn't seem like an ordinary animal. He was a mystery that only time had been able to hide until now. "If you're with me, then I'm ready for everything," Badi said in his mind. His tongue wasn't moving, but Mahira now understood conversation from his eyes. Both moved toward the temple. The doors of the temple opened by themselves, as if they had been waiting for their arrival for centuries. Upon entering, a loud sound echoed, as if some other power was present there. In the center of the temple was a stone platform on which the same sacred amulet was placed that Badi had touched years ago, and at that very moment he became cursed. "Is this all?" Mahir asked fearfully. "No," came a third voice. Mahira looked back in shock. There stood an old man whose eyes had both fire and mystery. "I am the one who made this amulet," the man said. "You can make Badi human, but there's a price." "What price?" Mahira asked without hesitation. "Either Badi's life will go, or your love will make him human. But if your love is incomplete, then he will remain an animal forever, a hollow body without a soul." Tears filled Mahira's eyes. "I will give everything, but I won't let him be lost." She picked up the amulet with trembling hands and moved toward Badi. The amulet began to shine brightly. Badi started screaming loudly. His body began to shake as if electricity was running through him. And then a bright light spread. After some time, when the light diminished, a young boy was standing there. The same sharp eyes, the same deep understanding. Badi had now become human. Mahira looked at him and started crying. "Your body?" The boy smiled and said, "My name was actually Basir, but when I was cursed, people started calling me Badi." "So now everything is fine?" Mahira asked in a trembling voice. "No," he smiled. "This is just the beginning." "What do you mean?" Basir pointed toward the wall of the temple where some old words were carved. "He who is freed in love then becomes the cause of someone else's liberation. We have to save more people from this curse. This amulet is not alone. There are others in the world, and many people are still living in curses." Mahira held his hand. "Then let's go on this journey together." Basir looked into her eyes. "If you hadn't been there, I would have been lost forever." In the end, the sun was rising outside the temple, and two shadows, of a boy and a girl, were walking together. And here ends the unheard story of love between a dog and a girl, which is now going to change someone else's story. Friends, that's all for this video. If you liked this video, please like it, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.